Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, we will talk about oxybenzone in sunscreen, its potential toxicity and implication. So sunscreen are defined as substance that protect the skin from the harmful effects of solar UV radiation by absorbing, reflecting, scattering, or otherwise deflecting UV photons, avoiding their absorption by the component of our skin. If you buy sunscreen, there will be a certain familiar word appear at the packaging of the bottle, which is SPF, stand for Sun Protection Factor. It represents a sunscreen ability to protect against a specific portion of ultraviolet light called UVB. UVB rays are responsible for sunburn and skin cancer, and there are also two other portions of UV light, which is UVC, which do not pass the Earth's atmosphere, and also UVA ray, which are also responsible for skin cancer as well as skin aging. There are several types of sunscreen, which is chemical sunscreen, physical sunscreen, and also hybrid sunscreen. Hybrid sunscreen, usually the combination of chemical and physical sunscreen. And sunscreen also can be represented in several types such as oil, cream, stick, and also spray. When used as directed, sunscreen has been shown to prevent sunburn, help maintain and even skin tone, also protect the skin immune function, as well as slow the development of premature aging such as wrinkle, discoloration, and also loss of elasticity. The common ingredients in sunscreen are zinc oxide, autocrylene, oxybenzone, homosalate, and cyanide. Oxybenzone commonly found in broad-spectrum sunscreen, especially chemical sunscreen, and this ingredient also contribute to bleaching and toxic to coral reef. So what is oxybenzone actually? Oxybenzone is chemically known as 2-hydroxy-4-methoxybenzophenone. It's an organic compound widely used as a UV filter in sunscreen and personal care product. Its primary function is to absorb ultraviolet radiations, especially UVB and short-wavelength UVA, converting them into heat and thereby preventing skin damage from sun exposure. The problem is, oxybenzone has been associated with potential side effects and environmental concerns such as posing risk to coral reef. There is also an ongoing debate about its systemic absorption and potential endocrine disturbing effect. There are studies detecting oxybenzone in human urine and blood samples. Therefore, some regulatory agencies and health organizations recommend limiting the use of oxybenzone in sunscreen products, particularly for children and pregnant women.
Now, I will be explaining regarding the mechanism of action of oxybenzone. The first point is the absorption of UV radiation. Let's begin by understanding how oxybenzone works as a chemical sunscreen. Oxybenzone primarily absorbs UVB rays, which range from 280 to 320 nanometers, and also shortwave UVA rays from 320 to 340 nanometers. Unlike physical sunscreens such as zinc oxide, which reflect or scatter the UV light, oxybenzone actually absorbs the radiation. This absorption occurs before the rays can penetrate deeper into the skin, acting as a protective barrier. So now we're going to move on to the next point, the next mechanism of action of oxybenzone. This is for energy dissipation. After absorbing UV radiation, oxybenzone enters an excited electronic state. To protect the skin, it rapidly dissipates the absorbed energy by releasing it as heat or in less harmful forms like infrared light. This quick return to its ground state allows oxybenzone to repeat the cycle, thereby preventing the UV rays from reaching and damaging cellular DNA and proteins in our skin. Let me walk you through these diagrams that illustrate how oxybenzone protects our skin from UV radiation. On the left diagram, we will see how the UV absorption by the oxybenzone. This diagram actually shows how oxybenzone molecules in the outer layers of the skin, when UVB and short-wave UVA rays hit the skin, instead of passing through, they are absorbed by the oxybenzone molecules. You can see that the incoming UV rays are stopped at the skin's surface, where oxybenzone is present. Unlike physical sunscreens that reflect UV rays, oxybenzone absorbs them before they can cause any cellular damage. On the right diagram, we will have the energy dissipation. This second diagram shows what happens after oxybenzone absorbs the UV radiation. The molecules become excited, meaning it moves to a higher energy state. To return to its stable or ground state, it releases that energy in a harmless form, either as heat or low energy light, such as infrared. This energy release prevents the UV rays from penetrating deeper and damaging important components of the skin, like DNA or collagen. Now, we shall move on to the next question of which is more popular in sunscreen formulation. Could it be the chemical sunscreen or could it be the physical sunscreen? To answer that question, let me debrief you about the chemical sunscreen and why it is more popular among the consumers. Chemical sunscreens, which include oxybenzone, are the more popular choice in many countries such as the US, United States, South Korea, Japan, and throughout the Europe. They are commonly found in facial and body sunscreens as well as makeup and skincare products. Their popularity is largely due to the cosmetic elegance. They are lightweight, non greasy, clear on the skin, and easy to blend into lotions, gels, and sprays. When combined with other filters, they offer broad spectrum UV protection. On the other hand, physical sunscreens are less commonly used in the mainstream products or among the consumers. They are often found in formulations for sensitive skin or baby products. These sunscreens offer immediate protection and are known for being stable under sunlight. They are also considered reef safe when formulated with non nano zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. However, one major drawback is that they often leave a white cast on the skin, which can be more noticeable on deeper skin tones. They may also feel thicker or heavier compared to chemical sunscreens.
Next, let's begin by understanding on how oxybenzone enters the body. According to a study conducted by FDA scientists in May, oxybenzone was found to be systemically absorbed when sunscreen was applied to the skin. It has been detected in the blood plasma, urine, and even breast milk, confirming that it doesn't just stay on the surface of the skin, it actually penetrates into the body. Due to this fast absorption rate, the FDA have recommend further investigation into its potential toxicity, especially with frequent or long-term use. This highlights the importance of monitoring how much of this chemical enters our body through everyday use of sunscreen. So what is the concern when using the oxybenzone? So one of the major concern is that oxybenzone may act as an endocrine disruptor. This means it can interfere with the body's natural hormones. Oxybenzone has been classified as an endocrine disrupting chemicals EDC based on the study in both human and also animals. EDC are the chemicals that can interfere with our hormone system, which regulate key functions like growth, reproduction, metabolism, and also mood. Oxybenzone can mimic or block the hormone, particularly estrogen, and may alter how natural hormone function or are produced in the body. As a result of it, it has been linked to a number of concerning effects such as reproductive issues, developmental abnormalities, and even metabolic disorder. This raised concern not only for adults but also for children and pregnant women who may have more vulnerable to hormone imbalance. We move to the next part. When looking at the long-term exposure, studies have shown that oxybenzone can have serious health implications. For example, in animal models such as femur rats, long-term exposure caused the uterus enlargement, and the National Toxicology Program found an increase in thyroid tumor and cell transformation leading to the cancer. The FDA also reported structural changes in mammary gland tissue showing potential for cancer development from prolonged exposure. In humans, It can lead to the allergic skin reaction like redness and dermatitis, and it can act similarly to hormone disruptors on the skin. Most importantly, studies warn that oxybenzone may be harmful to children due to their developing hormone system. Because of this concern, many health professionals recommend switching to mineral-based sunscreen that use zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, which do not penetrate the skin or interfere with the hormone.
Now let's just move on to environmental toxicity of oxybenzone. One of the most vulnerable victims of oxybenzone pollution is coral reefs. One of the biggest impact is coral bleaching. Thomas et al. 2024 found that oxybenzone disrupt the relationship between corals and the algae that live inside them. These algae give corals the bright colors and help feed them through photosynthesis. When stressed, corals expel the algae, turning white and becoming extremely weak. And that is just the beginning. According to Olson 2022, oxybenzone can also cause coral deformities. This means the corals don't grow properly, which weakens reef structure and makes them more vulnerable to breakage or disease. And Young et al. 2023 showed that oxybenzone increases corals' sensitivity to stress. So, when you add other challenges like rising temperatures or ocean acidification, the corals are much less likely to survive. Think of it like someone already sick catching another virus. Then it just becomes too much. So, this one chemical we use daily can seriously disrupt coral health, weaken entire reef systems, and harm the countless species that depend on them. These two images visually represent the stark contrast between a thriving, healthy coral reef ecosystem and one severely impacted by coral bleaching. The image illustrates healthy corals will likely showcase vibrant colors, with various species of coral displaying their natural pigments, perhaps greens, browns, purples, and yellows. Conversely, the image illustrating bleached corals will present a drastically different scene. The once colorful corals will appear stark white as they have expelled the symbiotic algae, living in the tissues that provide them with food and color. The skeletal structures of the corals may be more apparent, and the overall scene might look barren and lifeless. There may be a noticeable reduction in the number and diversity of fish and other marine organisms present, highlighting the detrimental impact of coral bleaching on the entire reef ecosystem. While coral reefs often get the spotlight, and rightfully so, they are not the only ones affected by oxybenzone. Other marine life is also at risk. For instance, Shell et al. 2023 found that fish exposed to oxybenzone can experience problems with growth, organ development, and even behavior. In some cases, it messes with their hormones, which can affect their ability to reproduce. That is a major issue for sustaining healthy fish populations. And the same goes for shellfish, like clams and oysters. These creatures are filter feeders. They absorb chemicals from the water as they eat. When oxybenzone enters their systems, it can build up and affect their development and immune systems. This makes them more prone to diseases and even death. Then we've got algae. You know, the green slime stuff that people usually ignore? But algae are the foundation of the food chain in aquatic ecosystem. Zhang et al. 2019 found that oxybenzone can inhibit photosynthesis in algae and reduce their growth. That is a big problem because if algae populations drop, it affects everything from small crustaceans to big fish and marine mammals. So the impact is wide-reaching. It doesn't just hurt individual species, it disrupts entire ecosystem.
Okay, so now that we know how harmful oxybenzone is to marine life, let's ask the big question. How does it actually get into the ocean? There are several key sources of contamination. First, we have direct runoff. According to the US Department of Commerce 2013, when it rains in urban areas, water runs off roads, sidewalks, and lawns, picking up pollutants including oxybenzone from sunscreen residue, and carries them straight into rivers and oceans. Then there's wastewater discharge. Many wastewater treatment plants are not designed to filter out small chemical compounds like oxybenzone, so, when people wash sunscreen off in the shower at home, it can end up flowing into the sea. Now, here's one you might not expect: beach showers. Downs et al. 2022 found that people rinsing off sunscreen right at the beach creates a direct path for oxybenzone to enter the coastal waters. No fancy pipes or treatment, just a straight shot into the ocean. And finally, plastic debris is another sneaky culprit. Sunscreen ingredients can stick to plastic particles, which then float around in the water, spreading these harmful chemicals whenever the current take them. So even though you might not be swimming in the ocean with sunscreen on, your daily choices still matter. What you wash off at home, what goes into the drains, and even the litter left behind. All of it can contribute to marine pollution.
Now, let's take a look at how different regulatory bodies manage its use. In the United States of America, the FDA allows oxybenzone in sunscreen, but classifies it as needing more safety data to confirm if it's generally recognized as safe and effective, or we call as GRACE. Currently, its safety status is still under review. On the other hand, the European Union permits oxybenzone in concentration up to 6% in sunscreens. However, their approval is based on stricter safety evaluations compared to the US. So this difference highlight how global regulatory standards can vary even for commonly used ingredients like oxybenzone. Here we can see the official EU regulation document that supports the 6% concentration limit. This table lists oxybenzone under its chemical name 2-hydroxy-4-methylsibenzophenone, or also known as benzophenone 3. It specifies that for face product, hand product, and also lip product, the maximum allowed concentration is 6%. These detailed classifications help ensure that consumer products remain within safe limit while still being effective. Now, let's compare two more specific standpoints, which is Malaysia and also Hawaii. In Hawaii, which is a state in US, oxybenzone containing sunscreens have been banned since 2021. This proactive step was taken to protect coral reef from environmental harm caused by chemical sunscreen ingredients, which previously mentioned by my teammates. In contrast, Malaysia's National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency (NPRA) permits oxybenzone use in cosmetic and sunscreens only up to 6%, which align with EU standards. Moving on to the safer alternative for oxybenzone in sunscreen. So we use zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are commonly recommended options. These ingredients work by forming a physical barrier on the skin which reflects and scatters UV ray rather than absorbing them like chemical filters. They are widely regarded as safer because they do not penetrate into the skin, unlike oxybenzone, which has been linked to potential hormonal effects. Moreover, they are associated with minimal to no health risk, making them ideal especially for children and those with sensitive skin. Did you know that several countries have already taken active steps to protect their marine ecosystem from harmful sunscreen chemicals? So, countries like Palau, Thailand, Mexico, and also Hawaii have started banning certain sunscreen, especially those containing oxybenzone, at tourist beaches and coral reef areas. Tourists are now required to use reef-safe sunscreens, which generally exclude harmful chemicals and instead use mineral-based options. Some hotels even offer free mineral sunscreens to promote these environmentally responsible practices. So, the infographic here shows how sunscreen chemicals affect marine life, including coral bleaching and reproductive issues in sea creatures.
To conclude, oxybenzone is a widely used chemical UV filter found in many sunscreen due to its effectiveness in protecting the skin against harmful UV radiation. However, growing scientific evidence has raised valid concern about its potential health and environmental risks. For a human health perspective, studies have detected oxybenzone in blood, urine, and even breast milk, suggesting systemic absorption. Its possible role as an endocrine disruptor and is associated with allergic reaction and reproductive issues call for more rigorous safety evaluations. Environmentally, oxybenzone has been found to contribute to coral bleaching, DNA damage in marine organisms, and disruption of aquatic ecosystem. These effects have led to legislation in several regions, such as Hawaii and Palau, that banning sunscreen that contain oxybenzone in an effort to protect vulnerable marine life. From a regulatory standpoint, agencies like the FDA have acknowledged its widespread use, but continue to call for more comprehensive research to confirm long-term safety. Meanwhile, the precautionary principles suggest minimizing exposure when possible. There are few recommendations for using sunscreen. Firstly, consumers should read sunscreen labels and consider reef-safe products that use physical blockers like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, especially when swimming in natural waters. And public awareness should be raised about both the benefits and potential risks of chemical sunscreen. Researchers should also continue studying long-term effect and safer alternatives. And lastly, policymakers may need to re-evaluate safety guidelines as new evidence emerge. In summary, while oxybenzone offers effective UV protection, it comes with potential trade-off for both human and environmental health. A more informed and cautious approach can favor safer formulation, and continued research is an essential moving forward. That's all from us. Thank you.